Okay, letter D. Technology is the title here, and Mrs. Ginger King is going to, and I think others,
And others.
are here to present information regarding the end of the year report for technology. So I hope you'll introduce them or they'll introduce themselves, please. Thank you, Ginger, for being here.
Thank you for having us here tonight. Good evening, and I guess we can just start with some introductions if you'd like. And
Sure.
In the back of the room, we have Christopher Wright, who is our tech contact for Wyman Elementary. We have Brenda Spurgeon, our instructional technology facilitator. Linda Hagan is our instructional technology specialist. And I think that is it for our tech team, but we also have several teachers here tonight who have sat with us, who have been in the iTeach Academy and are very engaged and focused to their classroom activities on integrating technology this year, so in previous years. But they're here to join us tonight and answer questions if you have them, or at least show support of what we're doing. So it has been another active year for us. Brenda and I have been on a little road show. We've presented and shared our plan with several different entities, and we are pleased to have several districts have contacted us afterwards to come for site visits, suggestions on what we're doing, or best practices of what we're doing. So we know that we feel that our plan is successful. This measured approach that we're taking has been very successful for us. I'll start out by, these are the 4 components that we're going to talk about tonight in our year in review. Our budget, devices and equipment, some staffing, and key component, professional development. So we'll start with some budget, and I just kind of give you a little basis of what we do. Annually, starting into December, January, I start meeting with all of the building principals, our tech contacts, our instructional technology staff to set goals for the following year and to determine what our needs are going to be. We then come back over to the admin building and meet with our district administrative staff to discuss and evaluate the budget. We reallocate funds as necessary for the resources that we need, whatever best fits what our goals are for the next year, and always being cognizant to be fiscally responsible. So a few of the items that I'd just like to point out to you all tonight are, I'll start with bullet point internet connection bandwidth. You know, I always talk to you guys, I always bring that up, but I work that into every presentation. Right now, that is our budgeted amount for this year. That is a 100 meg connection that we get from Mornet. We are, it's funny, you know, a few years ago, we always seemed to double, but it had taken about 2 years. Every 2 years, we would double whatever we had. This has been since maybe September. We had a 100 meg connection. We'll upgrade to 200. We'll double again. BYOD, online software is pretty much any software we purchase anymore is online. It's not technically even software anymore. It's an online subscription, is what they call it. And our testing requirements will require us to upgrade. We'll go from right around $35,000, then it'll be of $40,000, which actually doesn't seem too bad. Mornet has been able to reduce their costs, so that's a good thing for us. We have no backbone infrastructure costs in that total because we already have our Mornet connection comes into the university, and they assure me that it's a flip of a switch. So there will be no additional equipment that we would need to upgrade our bandwidth. It'll just be cost. So Rob, our network administrator, monitors that almost on a daily basis and kind of keeps me apprised as to when, since they say it would be so easy, we're not going to just turn up if we don't need it. So we're kind of monitoring that on an as-needed basis, and we'll turn up. They said it would take 3 days. We'll go with that. In your back of your packet is also our board monitoring questions that we submitted.
Yep.
Or actually, I think Nancy emailed those to you earlier today.
Yep.
In there talks about the telephone system. Our current telephone system was implemented in 1998, the year before I got here. And it has been a great system. It's a Mitel PBX. We have gotten our return on investment out of that system many times over, as a matter of fact. So it's been a reliable system, but we have seen some points of failure here lately. So we actually opened bids today And in the next board meeting, I'll be coming to you again, you'll get to see us again, and I'll be making a recommendation of what vendor we're going to choose to implement a new phone system this summer, a voice over IP phone system.
Good.
So that's coming.
Good.
I think every 15 years, it's okay to change the phone system. Talk about instructional equipment dollars. Of our current, or next year's $895,000 operating budget, $325,000 of that is classroom equipment, or Bryce's 3D printer, which he may have, we may have to go for that tonight. But that is to maintain our computer replacement cycle as well as purchase new devices. And you'll see in just a minute, our next slide is about devices and equipment. But to support those devices and equipment, you'll see our next professional development. That seems to be in comparison to the other items, that's a small amount, but it's a critical piece, I believe, to support our teachers and our students in what we're doing. We don't want to be buying technology for technology's sake. We understand that this is not a technology department initiative. This is our digital learning initiative, and it's about students' achievement and success. It's not what we decide in the technology department. It's more curricular driven. Let's see.
Ginger, can I ask, on the phone budget that you've got there, do you then see a monthly savings if we go to voice over IP by getting rid of our regular phone bill charge?
No, not yet. We are still, the industry standard is still what they'll call PRI trunks. I won't get too much into this, but a lot of people, I just met with Fidelity, as a matter of fact, yesterday, and we were talking about that. About 85% of the industry is still using the kind of networking equipment that we do to make our phone connections. There is a thing called SIP trunking, where then it goes out via the internet, and you don't see as many, you're not supposed to see the long distance phone traffic. It goes over the internet instead. That is not industry standard yet. It's still PRI trunking, and that's what we're going to use. Long distance is still not free. You hear about Vonage and places like that, but that's not, this system won't be, we're not doing that yet. However, I will say that when we put out this proposal, this RFP, we did ask that whatever system we go with be capable of moving to that functionality in the future as it becomes more industry standard.
Thank you.
On devices and equipment, this is kind of a this year versus next year, and I'll draw your attention to that very first bullet point. We currently have about 500 iPads. The picture there is Mark. That's one of Dr. Zalis's tweeted pictures. That's Mark standing there with 12 brand new iPad carts that we will be sending out to the classrooms starting in August. We will also have some additional netbook carts, but that iPad for this year, we went from about 140 to 500 this year. So we are working towards having additional mobile devices available for our students. Next year, the elementary schools will have one iPad cart for every grade level. So instead of sharing one per building, we'll have one for every 4 to 5 teachers, approximately. Well, also, the last bullet point on your right, we will be implementing BYOD. We're pushing that down, which was always our goal. This year, we started BYOD at the high school. We also worked out in about January, RTI and RTC. We were piloting that, one, just to make sure that we had bandwidth capabilities, and that our wireless that we put in place the summer before was ready, and it is. So we've done that test. Our measured approach, we know that we're successful, and we're going to work with Mrs. Fulton at the junior high next year.
So someone who's stayed with us this long to hear this presentation, BYOD.
Bring your own device.
Thank you.
Allowing students and our faculty to bring their own devices in. Primarily, that means a cell phone. We don't see a lot of kids, and I think Brenda's going to talk a little bit to this later, we don't see a lot of students bringing in iPads and big laptops still. They are primarily using their phones, but there are great purposes for that, and Brenda's going to speak to that here in just a little bit.
Junior high, wow.
I know this is really hard to see, but hopefully you guys remember that this is our current technology department staff. This organizational chart was developed in 2012 as a part of our technology plan, and we continue to evaluate all these positions and the needs of the department and the district. Obviously, we would like to fulfill the goal of all of the boxes on this slide, but we'll work those in however we're able to. We understand we're not completely ready for that. We would, with the devices that we just talked about, going from 500 iPads to 1,200, that's a pretty big leap, and we feel that if we don't have the support of the instructional staff and also on the networking side, that there's limitations to what we can do, so we just want to make that as successful as possible. Otherwise, maybe the resources that we've spent might be wasted, and we don't want to do that. I'd also like to take this time to, with regret, let you know, I'm not sure that you all, Mrs. Hagan will be leaving us to follow her family, so we are Mr. Henshaw, and we're getting ready to start our interview process to select that position for next year. We're going to miss Linda. She joined our team and really hit the ground running, and we've seen the success of adding that second position that was funded. So again, thank you for funding that position. It has definitely made a difference. We will miss Linda and everything that she has accomplished. And professional development, this will be my segue to Brenda. This professional development is absolutely key. We do not want to waste resources. I've said time and time again, you've probably heard me, we can buy all the hardware that we want, but if we don't have professional development and people in the classrooms helping our teachers, then it's for naught. So Brenda, would you like to come up and give us a brief overview of what we've been doing in the classrooms with our teachers and students this year?
Good evening. First thing I want to talk about is our professional development. And I've already projected where we're going to head next year. I am so gracious to our teachers who came here in support. All of these teachers have been part of our either iTeach program or our focus group. And I think they will tell you, I hope, that it has definitely impacted how they implement technology in their classroom. We know that to have success with technology, teachers have to buy into it. They have to understand that it is going to be worthwhile, it's going to be time-saving, it's going to be fun for their kids, and that's what Linda and I have worked hard to do, is to lead by example on how they can impact their student learning, and that's what I think we've seen tremendous growth this year. So next year we are looking to add more teachers to groups because we feel like the specialized training is really impacting what is happening in our classrooms. 2-3 years ago, we had many after-school sessions, and we'd have teachers coming from just all different areas with different skills coming together, and now we have kind of come up with targeted groups that are moving along at the same pace, just like we do in a normal classroom. And so our iTeach Plus group next year will consist of the 6 teachers from the pilot group plus our iTeach members. So would you guys raise your hand if you're going to be part of iTeach Plus next year? So we have a whole crew of those teachers that are going to do that. They'll start with me. We say next year, but it's next month that they'll start. Again, I'll let them breathe a little bit before I hit them again. Okay, and then we have an iTeach 2015 group, which these teachers mainly were in our focus group this year. They will all be receiving an iPad. Last year we gave the iTeach teachers an iPad and not the focus group. We kind of started off with the focus group as being just at a little slower pace, getting other technology skills up to par. But we've really listened to our teachers, and having the device in front of them to use on a daily basis impacts how comfortable you feel doing that same technology with students. So we feel like it's vital to make use of these 1,200 iPads that we have iPads in hands. So the Focus Level 2 group is also part of the focus group from last year. Just kind of splitting those so that we can better meet all of their needs. And then the Focus Level 1 next year will be teachers who have not previously been part of any specialized training, so there'll be new teachers that we are bringing on board and leading them through so that they can have success. We'll even have just individualized departments. Librarians we're going to meet with, RTI, RTC is going to have specialized training this year, and then again, all of our new teachers will have a minimum of 15 hours requirement. So it's going to be busy. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be busy. So a few things, you've seen some highlights this year, so I'm not going to go through all those again, but we continue to have great things happening in our room. Recently, we put 60 of our Algebra 1B students together in one classroom to prepare for the EOC test. Put the iPads in front of them, paired them up, did some app called Infused Learning, where we could see all the kids' responses on the board. It was a great success. Might have seemed a little chaotic, but it was really worthwhile. And I just got an email from a teacher that kind of commended us on putting that together. 4 teachers in the classroom, 60 kids with iPads, all reviewing together. It was amazing, and every kid was engaged. Every kid was with us. This is Mrs. Strain, Miss Strain, one of our 5th grade teachers. She has recently used a new app called Yakit, and the kids are very engaged with watching their presentations. It's where they took historical figures and used their own voice to have the historical person present a speech. So awfully excited. We're still using our QR codes. These are some QR codes that hung outside a room in Mark Twain, so the parents could be showcased. The kids were learning about area and circumference and perimeter there. Okay, so you guys are always asking, the board's always asking about teacher feedback, student engagement, student achievement. So these are the results of our survey. We ask all of any teacher that had been part of a specialized group. That could have been our SPED teachers had some specialized training, our title teachers, the I Teach, the focus group. And these are some of the results that we got back from our questions. The first one is RPS professional development that I received this year was beneficial because we hope that they think it is. You know, I know that we pull them out of classrooms and we're very much aware of that, that we want to make their time very beneficial when they are not with their students, that they're gaining something that will definitely impact student learning. The second survey result is just the technology training resources, what they like. You know, there was a strong for more in-service time. We always need more time, and we're trying to accommodate them that way. You might find the top chart a little interesting. I asked them what was their device choice now after working with both iPads and laptops. Most people will tell you, if you'll notice, the smallest one is computer labs. Having the devices in your classroom where you don't have to physically move kids and make it a whole production to go to a computer lab, they absolutely love that. So you'll notice it's kind of an equal split here. You know, iPads, netbooks, all types of mobile devices are beneficial. There's your increased student achievement. Overwhelmingly, are we increasing student achievement? Yes. Increased student engagement. Again, you know, over 90% of ours are seeing more student engagement by having the devices in front of them. And then again, overwhelmingly, ability to reinforce and enrich content, which we know directly affects student success. So that's overwhelmingly agree and strongly agree. So as we look towards next year, this current semester, we've been piloting Google Apps for Education, and many of these people here have been part of that pilot group this semester. They've been on a journey with me telling them that things will constantly change. What I learned today will probably change tomorrow, but I love all of these people. They are really, truly our professional, dedicated, talented group of teachers here that our students are so blessed to have as teachers in the classroom. We have done things from Mrs. Lewick. Tammy, raise your hand. Tammy is piloting some Google Forms. She got brave on me last week and took her assessment, a full 105 question assessment, and we executed it through a Google form, and it worked beautifully. The kids had instant results. She had instant results. She could easily see, you know, what areas the kids had difficulty with. Kate Rapp is one of our 7th grade English teachers. She's also used the Google Forms. She's done her vocabulary quizzes with some Google Forms recently. We've had The Google Docs. Deborah Burke is a 9th grade English teacher, and she and Deborah Heinbaugh decided, with a little persuasion from me, that we would do the entire 9th grade research project in their 2 classes using Google Docs, and we're getting ready to start Monday with their final project will be in Google Presentations. And the key to that is real-time collaboration. Debbie can be sitting there while a student is actually typing on their paper. She can be commenting on what they're doing from her computer without physically going next door to them. We are giving that immediate feedback and the improved sharing of resources. They will probably tell you they probably wouldn't go back after this to have the papers handed in, rough drafts, got to write all over them, shuffle those back, and all the note cards that we're doing. It just works. It simplifies things. It makes the teachers work more efficiently, which is what we want to do. Our teachers are busy enough, and the kids are watching them comment right there. They don't have to wait days to get comments back. I had a teacher, we were doing this in science classes, a couple of our pilot teachers have been doing it with science labs. And the kids are amazed that it automatically saves for them. They don't have to wait and realize that they messed it up before they turn it in. The teacher's kind of checking them, giving them comments. It's fixed, it's done. And so we are moving forward with that. All of our teachers will have Google accounts going into the 2014-2015 year. This summer, through all of our training, we will be demonstrating how that works so that all the teachers feel comfortable using it. And we are also investigating giving our student accounts. We're working through that right now to see if it's what the feasibility of us being able to maintain that, but that's on the horizon. So.
Well, and this is what they're going to see whether they go to college or go to a career. It's this real-time collaboration on Google or Basecamp or any of these things.
And this is really going to impact us going paperless in so many new ways.
Yeah.
I have a great passion for this. I see it working all the time. And Ms. Strain also, we did a little Google form with her class, and the unexpected result was when the kids got to see all of their responses on one place up at the board, they were actually doing some self-editing, correcting each other's work, what they had done wrong, because it was a fill-in-the-blank kind of a essay that they had done. So we never know where our unexpected surprises are going to be. Okay, and this is an example of the app that Jeannie was using in her classroom. This is called Yakit, and this is a tribute to you, Dr. Zales.
Oh, no.
As Dr. Zales would say,
It's a great day to be a bulldog.
Okay, so you can imagine having Benjamin Franklin talk, and giving some characteristics that you've learned about Benjamin Franklin and having him talk. So we wanted you to realize, we do have a lot of fun, and the kids have a lot of fun using these tools, but as Bryce and Leanne said, they don't realize they're learning so much because they're having so much fun, and that's what is important, and that is what we feel the success from. So I want to make sure I stop just a second and see while we're talking about PD, and if you have any questions for any of our visitors tonight, because they have done some amazing things in their classrooms.
So in addition to Jeannie, Deborah, Tammy, you have Katie White, Kara Hanlon here as well, right?
And Sue Keeling.
And Sue, okay.
Sue Keeling teaches Spanish. She's our 9th grade Spanish teacher, and she's been part of the focus group. She just did an iPad unit last week where they took and made a Spanish menu online. They had to find all the pictures, and then they had to record audio over it using the correct pronunciation, and the kids did a fabulous job. It was all then posted on My Big Campus.
Fantastic.
Any of the group that wasn't very technology savvy prior to volunteering to attempt this in their classrooms?
You have to have the mic. Can you take him the mic or something?
If she'll say anything.
I think raising their hands was good enough.
I'm going to take the mic just a minute.
Okay.
So just a brief comment, if any of you guys want to share just what the professional development has maybe done for you.
Well, when I came to Rolla about 6 years ago, I barely could read email. that was about it. And I availed myself to just about every class that Brenda had after school, and often I would have to take it 2 and 3 and 4 times because I'd only catch a little bit every time. But with this, when she approached me last year about going into the focus group, I was a little bit nervous about it. However, I was kind of excited too, and I have learned so much. And she's been terrific about providing the support. So when I would try to do something new in the classroom, she would come in and help me. And I have learned right along with the kids. So, what she was saying about having the iPad is important too, because if I just attend training and then try to implement it, it doesn't work. I have to play with it a lot. And then that makes me more competent and helps me do, a better job in the classroom. And I will say, we have done this project with the Google Docs. I think it is fantastic. It's a great way to share information in our department. It just, I just send the link and everybody, we're working on the rubric to score the project. People can add and change, and the comments that I'm able to give kids as far as suggestions for their introductions. You don't have time in a class period to bring those kids up to your desk. But while you're sitting there in the evening, you can type out, you can visit with, 15 kids. So it's tremendous, and hats off to everybody and the board for making these great strides. Anybody else?
This project that Mrs. Spurgeon was talking about, we just did in our classroom, the biggest benefit I saw was for 3 solid days, the students had their heads down, working diligently, looking up how to say this correctly, practice, because you can re-record over yourself. I mean, they were so intent on what they were doing, and they get it. Yeah. I overheard one student say today, man, this was a lot of work, but they were engaged, and it was phenomenal because personally, I have to pull them aside to try to talk to them and evaluate if they're talking correctly and getting their pronunciation right, and this doesn't make me do that. Now we'll go back later in the year just before school ends and we'll watch everybody's, and they'll catch things on their own. It's phenomenal. Thank you.
Tammy Lewick was part of our original pilot program, so I just wanted her to reflect just a little bit now, being on a second year, how much she's grown and how her classroom looks different than it did before even starting.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for your continued support of this wonderful opportunity. This year, I started out with my feet actually kind of on the ground, I felt like, instead of just totally in a circle going around and around. But something that has been a hidden blessing has actually been the student relationships that have evolved through this technology, and I didn't expect it. First semester, I pretty much spent first semester just honing the skills that I learned last year and just figuring out new ways to implement them. But at the beginning of second semester every year, I always make my students set 3 goals for themselves for this spring semester. And I shared my 3 goals. And one of my goals was to try at least one new technology tool in all 7 of the classes that I'm teaching. And so I came up, and Brenda will tell you this about me, if I come up with an idea, it's usually a big one. I get this grand idea, and I'm like, okay, let's just go for it, Brenda, and we just go for it. Well, there was this little event that happened in February called the Olympics. And so I took this opportunity to bring in current events and fuse it with German. And so we decided to do digital projects in all 7 classes with 150 students. That might have been a bigger chunk to chew off than I realized, but when I was setting the presentation, when I was setting up the projects, I said to the students, do you remember I shared with you what my goal was to work with you guys on a new technology tool? And the kids shake their heads and like, yeah, Frau, okay. So we're chin deep into this huge project on iMovie where the kids are in German 3 and 4 are having to research a German athlete and basically do a news report completely in German on a German athlete in the Olympics. And one of my seniors, who's a great kid, she was just struggling. And she's looking at me and she said, Frau, she said, the only thing that's keeping me going is knowing this is one of your goals. So we were able to bond And we sit there in this class, and I go in and I say, you know, I've never done an iMovie before, and neither have you. So we're on the same level. Let's just tackle this and get it done. And through this whole project, we have a young lady who's discovered a career goal. She had had the fortune of living in Germany as a military child for 4 years, and came back and has been in my class now. This is her 3rd year, but she also has a twinge of journalism. And through her iMovie news report, she's decided that she wants to go to Mizzou and major in German with journalism also. So you just never know. And I truly appreciate the opportunity, and I'm excited to see what my 3rd year in this project will bring.
Lots of exciting things going on. Anybody else want to say anything briefly that you want to let them know? Really, everybody has been so dedicated. These teachers spend a lot of time learning, because it is a learning curve. We are all learning, but I think we've just accepted it. We are all going to learn together. I learn from them, they learn from me, and it's wonderful collaboration. Anybody? Yeah.
Brenda,
I think Katie's wanting.
your data that you had up there from
Yes.
your those showed such great excitement about this use of technology. Was that from all of your groups?
Yes. Yes.
That was the data set.
Yeah.
I noticed
In
that
March,
one, it was 0 on BYOD. I mean, they'd rather have,
because then you know that every kid's going to have the same device. They all have the same piece of software. BYOD is nice. You would find out in the high school, you know, there are kids who use it, you know, in an English class if they happen to have it. But when you're trying to plan a project and you can just equalize the base and every kid is doing the same thing, things just roll a lot smoother. Okay, so I'll give it back to Ginger to wrap it up.
It's nice to see, too, looking out at the teachers here, that they're largely made up of experienced teachers. I don't want to say old.
No,
But,
I'm experienced.
but in other words, but I just said it. I didn't want to, but I had to. No, but it's nice to see that it's not a bunch of 25-year-old second-year teachers who are into this. There's one. But this is hard adaptation. I mean, quite frankly, I'm glad I'm not a teacher right now, because I would have a heck of a time changing.
That's
You
a
know,
good point.
So
That's a
it
great
really
point.
is. You know, the fact that they're doing this and so engaged with it's great.
But you see the enthusiasm from
That's
another
right.
class. It kind of drives you, I think, and motivates you when you hear what Kara Hanlon was doing and the great things. You think, well, maybe I should try this in my class, because, you know, we still are dedicated to our students. And that's what the professionalism that is shown by our teachers is phenomenal.
great.
So, how much, I mean, you've got a large group of people that are gaining great skills. At what point, or maybe already, do we utilize them to help those who have not been part of this?
That is part of the iTeach Plus group that we use those during professional development days. This last year, we tapped those resources. They are trained the trainers in their buildings, they're motivators in their buildings, and we are definitely using that iTeach Plus group for that function.
Okay.
Because
So
you're up
it-
to about
Yeah, that's what I
125
was-
teachers that
Now,
are.
the iTeach Plus group, you know, with Frau Lewick, Katie White, you've been in that group. This is their 2nd year, so.
Now she
it's-
wants to say something.
Now she wants to say something. Now, you gotta come down here. and
You gotta
get on
Come
that.
here.
When you got the microphone away from her.
If you're an IT, you're not in a focus group. Those
is
are
correct.
distinctly different. So it's like 120.
I wouldn't
So I've
step
been
in
in
front.
the iTeach group for 2 years now, and I go to other people's classrooms. You know, I'll get a call. I mean, we have a technology person that has a dedicated time to work with other teachers in our building, but what if they're teaching class, then what? Then they're looking to us, and we go to each other's rooms, and Deb and I were in the same building, and we've been to each other's rooms over different problems that we're having, and do you know how to do this? And so it's, you know, Brenda's taught us, and then we pass it along, and we also pass it along within our department. Like Brenda came and taught our whole math department this year about using, sharing things on My Big Campus. And so every PD day that we had after that, we took an hour of our department time that was given to us by our building principal and spent it in the computer lab as a group doing, collaboration projects on there so that we're sharing our resources so that cool things that I'm doing with my students are out there and all the other teachers have to do is go look at it, pull down what they want, worksheets, presentations, videos, everything. And so it's a really, we do share a lot. And that's one of the things that I teach has done for us.
Good deal.
I mean, I remember when mechanical pencils was technology, you had to learn, collaborate on that.
And Katie did bring up a good point. We talked about Google Apps tonight, but you've heard us talk about My Big Campus multiple times. Google Apps does integrate in. We're not replacing My Big Campus. This is in addition to. It's another tool. It's another resource for us. So My Big Campus is not going away. It's just this is in addition to. We're always looking at ways to better what we do. So for next year, going forward, our recommendations would be that we work more on our instructional, or continue our instructional technology plan. Get more teachers involved, create these leader teachers that you see here tonight, and I do believe that these are leaders in their buildings, not just because they use technology and I really like that, but other teachers are contacting them, they are leaders in their buildings. Additional district-provided mobile devices, not just for students, but also Brenda mentioned that we understand the need for our teachers to have those. So we are dedicating dollars towards making sure that our teachers have an iPad. We talked about increasing bandwidth. We'll work on that. BYOD at the junior high, and finally, our tech plan revision. In 2013, DESE kind of did away with the requirement that we have to submit to them for their approval and review a 3-year plan. We don't have to do that anymore unless we apply for level 2 E-rate dollars. Well, we don't qualify for that. So it's not a requirement. However, starting this fall, I suppose, our plan technically ended in 2015. We will start a new plan revision for our local district so that we have a plan. It's critical to us to know where we're going, to have our goals, and to be wise about the resources, the money that we're spending, and professional development, things like that. So we will be creating our own technology plan. It's a requirement of ours. So we will kind of use the same criteria that we did before. I think that still is viable. And we will ask for a couple of you all, anyone who's interested, to sit on those committees with us and help us create a new I'm going to go ahead and make it a 3-year plan. I don't think anything longer than that is, you never know where technology is going to lead you. Shorter than that, we look at that annually and adjust as necessary. But I think a 3-year plan is still a good basis for us. So we'll be contacting you all to join us to help with that as well. So that's kind of our year in review. I know you heard from us several times this year, but we wanted to come back again and give you a wrap-up and to also let you know kind of where our focus is for next year.
You're good.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger. Brenda, thanks for being here. It's a long night for you, I'm sure, so thank you all for being here.